Welcome back to DFC Books.
Great to be diving in again.
Today we are tackling a really dense one. We're taking that monumental deep dive into the world of Serendia Academy, specifically Cracking Open Secrets, The Silent Witch, Volume 2.
Right, and this isn't just your standard fantasy school story, is it? Volume 2 really throws you into the deep end. We're talking political espionage, hidden identities layered on hidden identities.
And a magical assignment that is, well, literally life or death for the person she's supposed to protect.
That's absolutely right. So our mission today really is to give you a kind of chronological map through this entire volume. We'll go from the prologue all the way to the epilogue.
Yeah, because trying to keep track of who's who, who's manipulating whom, and who is secretly the kingdom's most powerful mage, it gets complicated fast. So this should be like your essential guide.
Hopefully.
And right at the center of it all, obviously, is Monica Norton. If you're coming into Volume 2, you already know her as, well, painfully shy, super short, clumsy, always looks like she might faint if someone makes eye contact.
Which is, the perfect cover. Because that whole exterior hides her real identity. Monica Everett, the Silent Witch, one of the 7 sages.
Right, the kingdom's greatest magician.
Exactly, the Kingdom of Rydell's most brilliant mathematician and enchanted magician. And we should probably explain what enchanted magecraft actually means here, because it's key.
Good point.
It's magic that doesn't use chance or magic circles in the typical way. It relies purely on advanced, real-time mathematical calculation and theory. Think of it as manipulating reality through pure logic instantly.
No words, no wand waving, just brain power.
Pure brain power, which makes it incredibly powerful, but also almost impossible to detect if you don't know what you're looking for. And her current top-secret mission, guard the second prince, Felix Rydell.
While pretending to be a totally mediocre student.
And battling absolutely crippling social anxiety the whole time. It's quite the setup.
Yeah, it's the ultimate double life, isn't it? A world-class genius who's genuinely terrified someone might ask her a question in class.
Let's start right there with that character dichotomy, because it really drives everything in this volume. Monica Norton, the persona, she wears the plainest uniform possible, actively avoids looking at anyone.
And she's genuinely scared of crowds.
Yeah.
Right. And tall men, specifically.
Oh yeah, very specifically tall men. We see right away her motor skills are, let's say, less than 0. She can barely manage walking out of the dorm for a weekend trip without tripping.
Now, is she really that clumsy? Or is some of that maybe played up a bit for the cover? I mean, if she can do complex calculations in her head.
The book really implies it's genuine. It seems to stem from some pretty deep-seated social trauma, which we get glimpses of later. But you're right, it has the secondary benefit of being amazing camouflage.
So her shyness and clumsiness, while real, kind of accidentally help the mission.
Exactly. Her magical strength comes entirely from her mind, from that pure mathematical logic, which is totally separate from her physical self or her social anxieties. Her shyness forces her into isolation, which, ironically, is perfect for keeping the secret.
And she's not totally alone in this. There's Nero, her familiar.
Ah, Nero, yes. Absolutely crucial character. Usually he's the sleek black cat, perfect for spying and, whispering advice in her ear.
But not always a cat.
Not always. He often takes the form of this tall, kind of imposing human man, wears an old-fashioned robe. His job is basically twofold. High-level surveillance for the mission.
Yeah.
And constantly teasing Monica, poking fun at her, trying to get her out from under the bed covers, metaphorically speaking. He pushes her to engage, even just a little. He's like her sarcastic support system and bodyguard rolled into one.
Okay, so the prologue, a little weekend challenge, throws us right into the conflict. Monica gets dragged out of the academy, doesn't she?
She does. She's immediately confronted by Caroline Simmons, the bully from Volume 1. But then she gets rescued, and I use air quotes there, by her collaborator, Isabel Norton.
Isabel, who has to maintain her cover by playing the role of the wicked villainess who publicly torments Monica.
Right. So Isabel's fake abuse forces Monica to flee the dorms for the weekend, and this escape leads her straight into a real crisis in the nearby town of Crame. And earth dragon attacks.
And Monica, being the prince's secret guardian, can't just ignore a giant dragon rampaging near where her friends are, like Lana.
Exactly. Duty calls. She finds a good vantage point, this brick clock tower, which she actually takes a moment to admire for its, perfect structural geometry. Even in a crisis, her brain goes to math.
Classic Monica. But she has to act without revealing herself as the Silent Witch. How does she manage that?
Well, there's already an apprentice mage down there fighting the dragon. Very clumsily, I might add. A young guy named Glenn Dudley, who we meet properly later.
Okay.
So Monica uses her advanced, remote, enchanted magecraft. She waits for Glenn to launch this really badly aimed fireball that just splats against a nearby wall, and at that exact instant, she fires her own invisible spell, piercing the dragon right between the eyes.
Whoa. So she times it perfectly to make it look like Glenn's clumsy spell somehow did the job.
Precisely. It's an incredibly complex calculation and execution. She performs this impossible magical feat just so everyone thinks the apprentice mage got lucky. It perfectly shows that core conflict. Her duty forces her to use immense power, but her cover demands absolute invisible secrecy.
That's a lot of pressure.
Immense! And we also get a little hint of character development here. Nero points it out. After the fight, he shifts into his tall human form, and Monica realizes, subconsciously, she's actually become comfortable around him like that. Around this large, imposing figure.
Ah, so maybe a tiny crack in that fear of tall man armor. Even if it is just her familiar.
It's progress. Which brings us nicely into Chapter 1, The Silent Witch, or the Misspeaking Witch. Monica's back at the academy, safe, but now she faces the horror of student council duties.
Specifically choosing electives, which sounds mundane, but for her, it's a minefield.
Total minefield, because Prince Felix, along with Cyril, Elliot, and Bridget, corners her about it.
And Felix, who's already suspicious that Monica's hiding some kind of talent, especially with math, he suggests she take a magecraft course, doesn't he?
He does, which would be instant disaster. As we said, Monica only uses enchanted magecraft. A basic chanting class would immediately expose her. She wouldn't know the first thing about conventional spells, and her ridiculously high mana would set off alarms. Her identity as the Silent Witch. Gone.
So she panics.
Big-time panic. She tries to remember the advice her manipulative colleague, the barrier mage, Louis Miller, gave her.
Ah, Louis. What was his advice? Sounds useful, probably.
Deceptively simple. Louis basically told her, you don't have to say yes to everything troubling, just say something vague like, that sounds interesting, I'll consider it, and then never actually follow up. Classic avoidance tactic.
Okay, very Louis. Bureaucratic non-commitment.
Exactly. But Monica, completely flustered by Felix smiling at her, by just being near the prince, she applies the advice to the wrong part of the conversation.
Oh no, what happened?
Felix casually suggests he could show her around the Magecraft class observation tour, and Monica, trying to stall using Louis' line, just blurts out, yes, that's a good idea, I'll let you know.
Oh, Monica. So she accidentally agrees to spend more time with the prince, potentially near the very class that could expose her.
Precisely. She completely misfires the social jiu-jitsu, and right then, in her head, she gives herself this new, despairing title, the Misspeaking Witch. It perfectly captures her state, a magical genius, utterly defeated by basic conversation.
A perfect, if painful, way to kick off the main story of the volume. So from dodging social stuff, she walks right into the biggest threat yet in Chapter 2, the terrifying mana capacity gauge. She has to attend that fundamental magecraft class observation with Felix.
And Neil and Glenn are there too, and guess who the teacher is?
Oh, let me guess. Someone who knows her.
Bingo. William McCrogan, her former practical magecraft teacher from our training days at Minerva. Yes way. And McCrogan, completely unaware Monica Everett is sitting right there as Monica Norton, starts singing the praises of the Silent Witch. He goes on about how she developed enchanted magecraft, how her formulae, and I quote, upended the whole of modern magecraft theory.
Oh, God. She must be dying inside.
Absolutely. He's basically giving a lecture about her in detail right in front of her. He even threatens to put the Silent Witch's specific formulae on the upcoming exams.
That's just cruel irony.
It gets worse. McCragan then decides to demonstrate mana capacity measurement. He brings out the mana capacity gauge.
The objective measurement device, the ultimate threat to her cover.
Exactly. Because the Silent Witch's mana capacity isn't just high, it's like astronomically, freakishly high, a complete outlier. Putting her hand on that gauge would instantly expose her as someone extraordinary, if not the witch herself.
So what does she do? Can she fake it? Use magic to alter the reading.
She considers it, but realizes she can't manipulate it fast enough or subtly enough without someone noticing, especially McCrogan. The panic just takes over. Thoughts of exposure, failure, even execution flash through her mind. Her social anxiety completely short-circuits her genius brain.
So
She bolts, just turns and flees the room. Total panic retreat. It's the only option her anxiety leaves her. She narrowly avoids the gauge.
wow. But that desperate escape actually leads to something important, doesn't it, with Glenn?
It does. Glenn Dudley, the transfer student she secretly helped with the dragon, catches up to her afterwards concerned.
And this is where they bond.
This is where the shared secrecy really clicks. Glenn, who's revealed to be not just a transfer student but also an apprentice mage and a butcher's son, quite the combo, confesses his secret.
Which is?
He tells Monica he also has to hide his magecraft use, specifically from his master, who he describes as terrifyingly strict. He says his master would, wrap me up in a mat and hang me from the rafters if he found out Glenn used magic unsupervised.
Yikes. Okay, so they immediately connect over this shared need for secrecy, hiding their true abilities from scary authority figures.
Exactly. It creates this instant bond, this little pact of mutual understanding and silence.
Which leads us right into Chapter 3, which has that wonderfully long title, The Bull with No Tail, The Cheerful Noble Girl, and the Cat Who Wore a Skirt. A lot happens here.
A real whirlwind. First, Monica, still trying to avoid Felix after the Gage incident, ducks into the nearest classroom, which happens to be chess.
Chess, can she even play?
Apparently not initially, and Elliot, the snobby council member, is there and immediately tries to mock her lack of knowledge. But this is where her other side shines.
Her calculating brain takes over.
Completely. She gets the rules explained once and immediately sees it not as a game, but as a complex strategic map. She starts calculating permutations, analyzing potential outcomes.
And she beats Elliot.
She crushes him in what the teacher, Mr. Boyd, calls a model fashion. It's so impressive that Mr. Boyd basically strong-arms her into signing up for the chess elective on the spot. Her anxiety keeps her mute, but her strategic mind is unstoppable when focused.
Okay, so quick win for the genius side. But the main event involves contractors.
Right. Later, she's assigned, along with Elliot, to supervise some contractors doing repairs. And Monica, with her obsession for detail and accuracy, particularly in diagrams and symbols, stares intently at the contractor's seal. The Abbott Company emblem. A bull.
And she notices something.
Something tiny but critical. Something everyone else, including the meticulous Elliot, missed. She remembers the official Abbott Company seal perfectly. From documents, the bull emblem should have 12 spokes in the cartwheel it's pulling.
And this one
only has 10. It's a minuscule discrepancy, but to Monica's pattern-recognizing brain, it's a glaring error. It instantly tells her these guys are fakes, intruders posing as merchants.
Wow. That's some serious attention to detail saving the day.
It really is. Elliot realizes the danger, tells Monica to get back. One of the imposters pulls a knife. Monica has to act. Again, secretly.
Enchanted magic time.
Yep. She hits the imposter's horses with targeted, non-lethal shock spells, just enough to cause chaos and create an opening for Elliot to disarm the men.
But it goes a bit wrong.
The spells work too well. The horses completely panic and bolt directly back towards Monica.
And her zero motor skills strike again?
Utterly. She tries to scramble up a tree and fails miserably. The runaway cart is about to flatten her. And then suddenly, this strong, white-gloved hand snatches her up and pulls her to safety at the last second.
Enter Casey Grove.
Enter Casey Grove. A tall, strong, really cheerful, noble girl, comes from a rural background, loves riding and hunting. The book describes her as unaffected and straightforward.
A breath of fresh air compared to the usual academy snobbery.
Totally. She immediately becomes this incredibly supportive, protective friend to Monica. It's a really important new alliance forged in, near-death chaos. And she's the cheerful, noble girl from the chapter title. The cat who wore a skirt, by the way, was Nero trying on some of Monica's clothes earlier, much to her horror.
Right. Okay, so new friend acquired, but the conflict snaps right back to social horrors in Chapter 4, round and round. The dreaded ballroom dancing retest.
Oh, the dancing. Monica's ultimate nightmare fuel. Her motor skills, as we've established, are just abysmal.
She keeps stepping on people's feet.
Constantly. And overthinking every single step to the point of paralysis. And to make it worse, Felix and Cyril decide to show up and observe her practice session.
Maximum pressure.
And Bridget Graham, the epitome of the perfect, judgmental, noble lady, uses the opportunity to criticize Monica's failures, basically implying it reflects badly on Felix for appointing her to the council.
Ouch. How does Felix react?
This is a key moment. Felix doesn't get angry, but he looks Monica right in the eye, lifts her chin, and tells her he has high hopes for her success.
Which sounds supportive, but for Monica.
It's a trap. Psychologically, she's now completely cornered. She cannot fail the second prince. Failure would endanger her cover, potentially hurt Felix politically. She has to succeed.
So how does she try to tackle dancing this time? More practice.
Practice. No, she's Monica. She tries to solve it with math.
Of course she does.
She approaches the waltz like a complex physics problem, analyzing the tempo, calculating the precise angles her legs and waist need to be at, modeling momentum and rotation, trying to turn dancing into a formula.
And does it work?
Predictably, no. Trying to calculate angles while moving just makes her even more stiff and paralyzed. We get that hilarious bit later where she practices with Nero in his human form in her attic.
Oh yeah, the familiar abuse incident.
That's the one. She steps on his feet 17 times, kicks him in the shins 23 times. He finally accuses her of familiar abuse. The math just cannot override the physical clumsiness and anxiety.
And there's a political note dropped here too, isn't there? About body manipulation magic.
Right. Nero suggests she just cheat using body manipulation magecraft to make herself dance better. But Monica explains that kind of magic is totally forbidden in the conservative kingdom of Radill. It's seen as unnatural.
But it's okay elsewhere.
Exactly. She mentions it's allowed and actively researched in the more progressive Shorgold Empire to the east. So even her dancing failure connects back to these larger ideological and political divides in their world.
Okay, so math failed, practice failed. How does she finally pass? This leads into chapter 5. It's mostly thanks to the gemsmith.
Right. The solution comes, typically for Monica, from a very unexpected direction. First, Cyril Ashley steps in to dance with her.
Cyril, the Stoic Council VP.
Exactly. And he's an expert leader. Monica notes how calm he is, how he subtly guides her body without being forceful, basically compensating for her lack of skill. It's a demonstration of perfect control.
But that's not what makes her pass, is it?
No. Then Felix takes a turn dancing with her, and he tries a different approach. He starts making light, gentle conversation, asking about her hair, suggesting a deep green dress might suit her, trying to distract her maybe.
And does it work? Does she relax?
Not exactly. She's completely overwhelmed by the social interaction, the proximity to the prince. She needs an escape. Her eyes fixate on the gemstone set in Felix's brooch.
Okay. Why the gemstone?
Because it's mathematically interesting. It has 58 facets, cut with perfect, complex geometry. Her mind just dives in. She starts mentally analyzing the light refraction, thinking about reflective barriers, formulating equations.
So she gets completely lost in thought about the gem's physics.
Totally lost. She escapes the social anxiety by retreating fully into the safety of complex calculation. And here's the magic part. This intense concentration accidentally shuts down the part of her brain responsible for social panic and overthinking her movements.
So with her conscious mind busy analyzing the gem, her body just starts moving correctly.
Exactly. The mental noise stops and she dances perfectly, naturally, without thinking about it. She passes the retest flawlessly.
That is the most Monica way to succeed ever. How does she explain it?
Oh, this is the best part. Afterwards, she earnestly tells Cyril that her success was entirely thanks to the perfect geometry of the gemstone. Not Felix's leading, not his conversation, just the gem itself.
Oh, poor Cyril.
Yeah.
He must have been tearing his hair out.
Yeah.
Felix tries this gentle approach, and she gives all the credit to his accessory.
You can just imagine his silent exasperation. She literally thanks the gemsmith. It's peak Monica.
Amazing. And the chapter ends with more political foreshadowing.
Yes. They have this secret celebration afterwards. Glenn cooks up some grilled mutton, showing off his butcher skills. And the conversation turns serious again.
About Radill versus Shorgal.
And specifically about the Eastern Lander territories. They talk about how Radill's conservative government has historically neglected and feared those frontier regions, especially after dragon raids, while the Shorgald Empire is seen as more progressive and expansionist. This discussion about Lander's grievances is crucial setup for what Casey does later.
Right, the betrayal. Which brings us to part 4, starting with the setup for the Tea Party class. Another social minefield.
Absolutely. Monica has to learn intricate aristocratic etiquette. Isabel Norton, her fake tormentorly, coaches her, even teaching her the art of the silent sneer.
And Isabel warns her about the ultimate Tea Party sin.
Bringing the same tea blend as a higher-ranking noble, hence why Monica carefully prepares 2 different rare varieties, just in case. The social stakes are ridiculously high.
Chapter 6. A cup out of place. The Tea Party begins. Who's there?
Monica, her friend Lana, her new friend Casey. And the 4th is Claudia Ashley, Cyril's sister.
Ah, Claudia. One of the 3 beauties of the Academy, right? Nicknamed the Walking Library.
That's her. But she has this air of listless melancholy. She barely speaks, but when she does, it's usually a scathing, highly intellectual insult delivered in a monotone. She instantly creates this incredibly tense atmosphere at the table.
Fun times. And then things start to go wrong for Monica.
Immediately, she goes to the prep room to get her carefully chosen tea leaves, and both jars are gone, stolen.
Stolen.
Just like that.
Not just stolen. The only thing left on the shelf where they were is the small, precisely folded piece of paper Monica had used to mark her spot. It's methodical, targeted.
Someone is definitely messing with her. What does she do?
Casey, being the great friend she is, immediately offers Monica some of her own tea leaves. A simple, kind gesture.
But Monica doesn't take them, does she? This leads into Chapter 7, The Dream the Bitter Tea Showed. No, she doesn't. Instead, in a really defining character moment, Monica goes back to her dorm room, and she comes back with black coffee.
Coffee. To a formal, noble tea party, that's a huge faux pas.
Massive. But she explains, very simply, that it was her father's favorite drink, and she wanted to share her favorite thing with her friends. It's this incredibly vulnerable, nonverbal act, sharing a piece of her hidden past, her real self, through this unconventional choice.
Wow, that takes guts, especially for her. But the chapter title mentions bitter tea and a dream.
Yeah.
So something bad happens after this.
Very bad. Shortly after the coffee incident, Caroline Simmons, the bully, corners Monica and invites her to a private tea party in her room.
Okay, this can't be good. What's Caroline's angle?
It's political maneuvering. Caroline got in trouble earlier for pushing Monica down some stairs. She wants Monica to lie to Cyril, say the fall was an accident, so Caroline can avoid expulsion and save face.
So she's going to pressure Monica.
Worse. She plans to humiliate her into submission. She poisons Monica's tea.
Poisons it. With what?
Bitter eye drops. They contain a toxin similar to belladonna. Caroline's plan isn't to kill her, but to make the tea so revoltingly bitter that Monica will choke, spit it out, and be completely mortified, making her pliable.
Okay, that's nasty. But does it work?
Here's the kicker. Monica, who has been drinking Nero's often terribly brewed, extremely bitter black coffee daily since she was a child, she just drinks the whole cup down without even flinching.
No way. Her tolerance for bitterness is too high.
Exactly. Caroline is absolutely stunned. But the poison is still poison. Even if she didn't taste it, the toxin works. Monica collapses.
And the dream. The hallucination.
Yes.
Yeah.
She falls into this horrifying hallucination, and we finally see the root of her trauma. She relives the memory of her father, a brilliant scientist and mathematician, being dragged out by an angry mob tied to a tree.
Oh, God.
And his entire life's research, stacks of papers, precious mathematical records, everything being thrown onto a bonfire and burned while he's forced to watch. The mob was afraid of his knowledge, his unnatural intellect.
That's horrific. Explains so much about her fear and secrecy.
Absolutely. In the dream, she's desperately trying to memorize every formula, every diagram before the flames consume them. It shows you why she clings to knowledge, why she hides her own genius, and why betrayal and the destruction of intellect are her deepest fears. It's the core of who she is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so she collapses, poisoned, lost in this nightmare. How does she get out of it? Chapter 8, The Star Villainess's High-Pitched Laugh.
The rescue comes from an unexpected source, Claudia Ashley, the gloomy, sarcastic walking library.
Lottie helps her. Why?
Turns out Claudia is surprisingly competent in a crisis. She calmly administers first aid, and then, with her sharp intellect, she immediately deduces Caroline used eye drops. How? She points out Caroline's own pupils are strangely dilated.
Because Caroline uses the same drops. For beauty.
Exactly. Claudia exposes the whole thing, the motive, the method, the evidence right there on Caroline's face. Caroline is arrested, expelled. Monica is taken to the infirmary.
So Claudia saved her. Was it just a pseudo observation, or?
There's the twist. Later, when Monica is recovering, Claudia reveals her real reason for being involved, for watching Monica so closely.
Which is?
Claudia is actually Neil Weaver's fiancé. Remember Neil, the commoner student council member?
Yeah, the nice one.
Right. But Claudia hasn't been watching Monica because of Neil. She's been following Monica because she believes Monica is trying to bewitch Prince Felix.
Wait, Claudia has a thing for Felix.
Secretly, yes. She admires him intensely, maybe even obsessively. So the whole time, Claudia's gloomy presence and sharp remarks were driven by romantic rivalry and suspicion towards Monica.
Man, the layers of intrigue just keep piling up. Everyone has a hidden agenda.
Everyone. Which sets the stage perfectly for the final act. Chapters 9 and 10 are a bit of a breather, but they ramp up the tension. Monica recuperates, partly at Isabel's place to maintain the bully cover.
And the political situation gets worse.
Yeah, the talk of war heats up. Factions forming around the three princes, especially with Duke Guackford pushing for conflict. Felix, meanwhile, is getting increasingly suspicious of all the transfer students, including Glenn and Casey. He's watching everyone.
And Monica gets a little reminder that people care.
She does. She realizes her quiet friend Lana has been secretly leaving her little notes with class schedules and well wishes every day while she was sick. These small kindnesses are exactly what Louis Miller warned her about getting attached, growing soft.
Which leads us directly into the climax. Chapter 11, My Responsibility. This is where it all goes down.
All of it. Cyril gives out assignments. He specifically sends Monica and Casey to oversee a lumber delivery at the East Gate. Meanwhile, Felix and Elliot are sent to the West Storehouse to handle some supposedly harmless fireworks for an upcoming festival.
Separating the groups seems deliberate.
Very deliberate.
Right.
And trouble starts immediately at the East Gate. A huge stack of lumber suddenly starts to topple, aimed right at Casey.
An accident.
No accident. Monica reacts instantly, pure silent witch instinct. She uses a subtle burst of unchanted wind magecraft to deflect the falling logs just enough. Then she checks the ropes, cleanly cut. It was sabotage, an assassination attempt on Casey.
So she confronts Casey.
She does, and this is the big tragic reveal. Casey breaks down and confesses everything.
What's her story?
She's colluding with nobles, but nobles from the Lander region her home. The Eastern Territories plagued by dragons and ignored by the capital. They see Prince Felix and Duke Clockford's potential war plans as a death sentence for their region.
So Casey isn't trying to kill Monica, she's trying to.
She's trying to assassinate Prince Felix. It's a desperate preemptive strike to prevent a war she believes will destroy her homeland.
How? The fireworks.
Not the fireworks themselves. She reveals they planted a spiral flame in the West Storehouse where Felix is. It's this tiny, incredibly lethal, magical assassination device designed for untraceable kills.
Oh, God. So Casey's goal was political terrorism, essentially, to save her people by killing the prince.
Exactly. It's incredibly tragic. She sees it as her terrible responsibility. And just as she confesses, Nero confirms it. He senses the spiral flame's mana signature spiking uncontrollably at the West Storehouse. It's about to detonate.
And it's powerful enough to
destroy the whole area, kill Felix, Elliot, and cause massive damage to the Academy. Monica has maybe minutes.
So what does she do? She has to drop the cover completely now.
Completely. She has to act as the silent witch, full power. And her plan is brilliant, layered, and incredibly risky.
Okay, break it down.
First, she needs to contain the spiral flame, but she can't get there in time. So she launches a massive, overt magical attack from the outside, huge spears of wind aimed deliberately at the Academy walls.
Why attack the walls?
To intentionally trigger the massive defensive barrier protecting the entire Academy, a barrier created by
Louis Miller, her colleague.
Exactly. She needs his barrier active because it contains a complex magical formula she can potentially manipulate.
Okay, so barrier up, then what?
Nero uses his transport ability to get her instantly to the barrier source, point an old fountain in the gardens, but Louis' formula is protected by another magical trap. A deadly rose barrier created by the Witch of Thorns, another sage.
So she needs to break that first.
Right, and for that, she needs overwhelming power. She performs a rare ritual chant, something she usually avoids because it's slow to summon Sheffield, the king of the wind spirits.
Summoning a spirit king, that's serious power.
Top tier. Sheffield's power obliterates the Witch of Thorns' rose trap. Now finally she has access to Louis' core barrier formula.
And she has seconds before the spiral flame explodes.
Less than a minute, the book says. And this is the truly mind-blowing part. Monica, using her unparalleled grasp of magical mathematics, reads, analyzes, and rewrites Louis Miller's incredibly complex defensive formula, something he spent months designing on the fly.
Rewrites it.
She modifies its structure to specifically target and neutralize the unique magical signature of the spiral flame just as it detonates. She essentially diffuses a magical bomb by reprogramming the building security system in real time from the source code.
That's insane.
Yeah.
She saved Felix, the Academy, everyone.
She did. It's an absolute confirmation of her genius, but the power expenditure is immense. She basically collapses.
Which leads us straight into the epilogue. A soft wall.
Yeah.
Louis Miller shows up, right? He must know what happened.
Oh, he knows. The barrier being triggered, the massive energy surge, the formula being rewritten. He knows exactly who did it, and he is furious.
Because she messed with his masterpiece.
Because this supposedly timid, useless student he placed as a pawn just casually dismantled and rebuilt his months of intricate work in 1 minute. He's livid, but he also has to accept she did it to save the prince, which was her primary mission.
Does Monica leverage this?
She does. Showing newfound resolve, she actually negotiates with Louis. She argues for Casey. She insists Casey shouldn't face execution or magical mind wiping, pointing out that only they, the sages involved, actually know about the assassination plot. Publicly, it was just sabotage.
And Louis agrees.
Reluctantly, he prioritizes secrecy and the mission's integrity, but he's not happy about it. Casey is spared execution but sent away to a remote convent, effectively removed from society and politics forever.
A harsh mercy. And Louis has a warning for Monica.
A stark one. He tells her point blank, "You're growing soft." He warns her she needs to remember she is the silent witch, aloof, efficient, a necessary tool of the state. Not Monica Norton, the student making friends and emotional attachments. Those attachments are a liability.
A chilling reminder of her role. How does the volume end?
With a really poignant, quiet scene, Monica is completely drained, exhausted, her mind fuzzy from the massive mana depletion. She's back in the student council room and just kind of leans against what feels like a soft wall for support.
But it's not a wall.
It's Cyril Ashley's back. She's so out of it, she unconsciously gravitated towards the dense mana signature emanating from the magical brooch he wears, the same kind Felix has. Her magical senses sought comfort in that familiar energy pattern.
Oh, wow. How does Cyril react?
He completely panics. He sees this tiny, exhausted girl, basically asleep and weeping slightly against his back. He stammers apologies, thinking he's bothering her, worried he's too heavy. Then he gently takes off his own blazer and drapes it over her shoulders.
A genuine moment of kindness from the stoic Cyril.
Totally genuine, unexpected care. It shows that despite her best efforts to remain invisible and detached, Monica Norton, the person, is having a real human impact on these people. She's forcing their compassion, which is exactly the kind of connection Louis warned her against. It perfectly encapsulates the tension she lives with.
What a way to end. Looking back at Volume 2, then, Monica's journey is just incredible.
Absolutely. She starts literally paralyzed by shyness, haunted by her past, and ends up acting like a high-stakes, calculating war gamer and a heroic sage, rewriting reality itself under impossible pressure. All driven by this need to protect the people around her, fulfilling her duty, but also maybe more than that.
And the whole network of relationships shifted so much.
Yeah.
She gained real, loyal friends in Lana and Casey, even if Casey's path took that tragic turn. She's navigating the incredibly complex Ashley siblings, Cyril and Claudia.
And she even managed to outmaneuver Louis Miller, her supposed handler, using his own logic against him. She proved her magical superiority while simultaneously embracing these small human connections she was meant to avoid. Her success, ironically, came from both her genius and her vulnerability.
But that final warning from Louis hangs heavy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're growing soft. She risked everything, her cover, her standing with the sages, potentially the mission to save Casey, someone she barely knew, who was actively trying to kill her charge.
Which leaves us with that final provocative thought to chew on, doesn't it? Louis represents the cold, efficient, detached logic of being a sage. But Monica's actions are increasingly driven by empathy, by a desire to prevent the kind of tragedy that destroyed her own family.
So the question is, can the Silent Witch truly fulfill her role, maintain that necessary distance and ruthless efficiency, if she keeps allowing Monica Norton, the person, to care so deeply about the people she's sworn to protect?
And maybe the flip side of that is, if she doesn't allow herself to care, can she avoid becoming just another cog in a system that perpetuates the kind of fear and betrayal that defined her past in the first place? Where does Monica Norton end and the Silent Witch begin?
Something to definitely think about wailing for Volume 3.